Well, welcome everybody. Episode 17 of Playing with Perspective, the suspended animation podcast. And it's going to be a really fun show today and a little bit more of a free show. We're going to just roll with things because we've got a very interesting and insightful guest that's done loads of different things. And today I've got the pleasure of having Grant Thom in the studio. In the Suspended Innovation Studio. Grant is an accomplished businessman who has been a digital and ad agency owner for many years. After starting out as a basic graphic design artist, he is now known and regarded as the head fire starter in this industry around the world. Today, Grant runs a number of digital ad agencies globally and has been able to achieve an 82% success rate of winning all pitches when presenting to potential clients with 2 or more agencies in the presentation. He was also successful in contributing to the sale of 15 of his client companies. Grant has a creative drive, passion, and enthusiasm for business growth and is now an experienced creative and managing director for his international clients, ensuring they are always prepared for tomorrow's market. His love for the creative process and developing branding strategy, advertising material, online content for social media, and web design are as strong as ever. But what he really loves doing all the time is helping businesses understand digital platforms and how they should embrace it in their unique business marketing requirements. So, wow, Grant, that's one hell of a resume, hell of a repertoire.
Hello, Darren. How are you?
Very well. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. Yeah, it's quite an intro, isn't it?
It is a hell of an intro. So I thought, we're going to be talking about all sorts of great stuff today, and I just want to keep the conversation free, and we're going to be chatting about marketing, entrepreneurship, business, drawing on your years of experience and insights and strategy. So maybe just give us a little bit of a walkthrough into your journey and how you ended up doing all these things, because I'd love to get a bit of a sense of your origin story.
Well, it started in the sense that I've always been creative right since school days. So I was always very good at art, and I always did very good at my art projects. And of course, my other subjects did very well because I always would make fantastic diagrams and drawings and really go the extra mile that no one else was prepared to. So that's how I sort of capitalized and got those extra marks going through school. Yep. But creativity was always my game, and thinking outside the box was something that I always did naturally. And then I studied graphic design and marketing at a university for 3 years. And I joined a job for a company, which I didn't really enjoy, but it was the only job that I had at the time. It was offered to me and I took it. And I lasted exactly 9 days and I was going out of my mind. I really wasn't enjoying it. And I then had an opportunity to leave that and go join a big advertising agency company called Ogilvy & Mather.
Right.
And I joined them really just wanted to sort of put the world on fire. And of course, they put me at the bottom of the ranks. I was in the studio. And in those days, we didn't have photographs and computers. Everything was done by hand.
Yep.
So I was taught the old school method.
Yep.
And I went very well up the ranks. And I was very fortunate to meet with David Ogilvy personally.
Wow.
So when I then got a transfer to the UK, I actually worked with David Ogilvy for a period of time, and I really got to be a little bit cast by such a great man. I was a bit young. I didn't ask the right questions at the time. I was very interested in girls, bicycles, and beer, and I really didn't pay enough attention to what the insights that this man could really share.
Yeah.
But you know what? I had to do certain tasks which I think have stayed with me all this time, and I think through that is what when I started my agency, my very first one is where I literally didn't have a direction, and I literally had to dig deep into all that understanding that I ever had as to how we're going to move forward. And that's very much what's the story of what you've told right now.
Wow. And so tell me about your first agency. How did that start, and how did that evolve?
It was started mainly in the sense that my father said that you don't have what it takes to run a business. And that was just enough to get me fired. And I got fired up and I was going to jump into it. And I still remember starting this business in the garage of someone's house.
Wow.
And the very first day I had my feet up on the table and a friend of mine came in and he said, "So this is your business?" And I said, "Yep." And he says, "What you going to do?" And I said, "I haven't got a clue," type of stuff. And we literally started with that.
Wow. And then and who were some of your first clients? Were they friends and contacts, or how did you get some of your first clients?
None of them were friends. You had to literally go and earn their respect. So that's what was sort of my kind of cornerstone of where I come from today. You had to really hustle and grind. You had to rock up. You had to talk business sense. And you had to be able to come up with the ideas that were going to make them and position them to be different that's in the marketplace. And that's where my success started.
Wow. And I can imagine that marketing and digital marketing now being so at the forefront of marketing is probably a very, very different way of thinking and a skill set to when you first started.
Correct. So basically I was taught very much in traditional methods, and I did very, very well. And I really understood marketing and the digital platforms exceptionally well. And I think that's partly where my success lies today, in the sense that I talk to a lot of what I call the older folk, which I call BBCs, which is born before computers. And anyone that was born before computers, I know how to communicate with them. I know how to converse with them. And I know their hassle factor as to how to embrace the digital age.
Yep.
I'm by no means I'm a techie, but what I have been able to do is to take all that knowledge from the traditional marketing and be able to apply it into digital platforms. So therefore my communication, my touch points, my enhancement is very much from that traditional focus and that background, but just of course using latest technology and communication strategies.
Gotcha. And so I just want to get more of an insight into what you've been doing of late, because it sounds like you've been managing and also as a creative director and a managing director of a number of different ad agencies. Is that right? Or has it been one with a subgroups underneath?
Yeah, so basically when I took on my first international investment, had nothing to do with advertising and marketing whatsoever, and I got involved. But it wasn't, how should I say, my cup of tea. I'm still involved in it today. But the creativity and marketing calls me back every time. And then that's how I started to get involved. So I ventured into one, that grew into a second, that grew into a third, and so it would just materialize. And so therefore I was able to break into different countries. I was able to learn different cultures, and also at the same time, no two agencies do the same thing. So therefore I was always kept inspired. So it wasn't like we were a group of companies. It wasn't like they were all linked to each other. They're all individually owned. The secret was that I took something that was already running and I got involved and I just took them further. Was sort of what my portfolio was all about.
Gotcha. And so now you still manage very high level, or do you get involved in the pitching process and the strategy behind things as well?
I'm still very involved at high level, and I still get very involved in pitching. Not at the moment with everything that's going down, but up until that point, or up until the end of last year, there were some very big accounts that were pitched on and some very big exercises that have been carried out. So my role as a head fire starter, which is basically rock up and just turn things on and find opportunity and deliver, is sort of where my reputation had started from. And that's where I feel the most comfortable. I love the boardroom. I love the client space. I love obstacles, and I love overcoming them.
Okay. I want to touch more on that catchphrase, head fire starter. So tell me a bit more about where that came from and what the significance is in your industry, because that will help everybody really understand the process behind what you do.
It's not too well known in my industry. It's more a nickname that I've been termed through all the countries. And basically, I just love igniting opportunity. I love igniting new concepts. I love igniting conversations. I like to make things that are a little bit of a point of difference. So I never steer away or stick to traditional methods. I'm always trying to embrace the latest trends. I'm trying to embrace the latest companies. I love iconography of branding and where that is playing a vital role in our future. And I love the way that things are changing and moving forward. So I was always known as the guy that would come in and be the entrepreneur with the view to find opportunity unlock it, package it, and launch it. And that's sort of what I've been known for.
Wow. That's fantastic. I love it. Head fire starter. It's so graphic, so energetic and visual.
Yeah.
Obviously.
It's a great title. I'm very proud of the title and I'm very proud of what it stands for. And it's just a case of getting it into the marketplace as to business owners and business people who are looking to make something. That's where I play very well with. I work very well with business owners, and I like to see myself as a partner within their business.
Yep.
And I like with the view to be able to push the envelope a little bit with the view to just find those leverage points that create opportunity for them and their customers to have engagement.
Awesome. Awesome. I mean, it's a topic, marketing is a topic that I'm fascinated by, and digital marketing even more so, because everything now is online. It's all digital, especially in this current climate where we're all using virtual methods, Zooming, all this kind of stuff. I mean,
Yep.
how do you see digital marketing? How has it evolved over the years, and where is it right now? Like what's raw and ripe, and what do people have to do to get on top of their marketing using digital means?
I think that it's a very dark and grey cloud for most people, and especially for the BBCs, the born before computers.
Yep.
Digital marketing is a strategy. Digital marketing is a game plan, but it's no different to that of traditional marketing. It's the case of rocking up and presenting and being visible every single day.
Yep.
Where there's a point of difference is that you've got an opportunity to pivot on a point. So what I say today, I can say differently tomorrow. In the old method, came up with a campaign and we would stick with it no matter what, because all the material was produced and we just stayed with it, be good or bad, till the very end. And what we tried to do is put our messaging in traffic areas, be it on the side of a road, be it at a movie cinema, be it at a bus stop, be it at a, wherever there was traffic. That's what we were trying to just get people's attention. Ever since now, when we're now driving on the road, and normally you would measure traffic on the road as 2.2 passengers per car, you know that 50% of the people have got their head down focusing on the phone, and therefore they're not looking up and paying attention to things.
100%.
It's sort of where this thing comes. And I think where the secret is that you're able to now get stories and storytelling, and people don't want to be sold to anymore. They want to be edutained.
Yes.
Okay.
Like
they want to be entertained, but they want to be educated. And on the journey and on the participation, they will remember you by you as long as you've enhanced the story good enough and well enough, with the view to say, hey, let me share it with my friends because I thoroughly enjoyed this moment of time. But we live in 5.4 seconds. And if you do not grab someone's attention, they're going to flick you and get onto the next message or communication.
Fantastic. And I love that. What a huge difference from the old way of marketing and advertising, where, as you say, you had to put a campaign together, you'd have a team, it would take you weeks of work and nights, you'd get the campaign approved, you'd launch it, you'd spend the budget, and then you'd sit and wait to see what results it brought. Nowadays, you can change from day to day, you can change 10 times in one day and execute extremely quickly. So it's changed everything on its head.
Yes, it has, and no, it hasn't. So let me tell you, it has changes on its head in the sense that this is the conundrum that most business owners fall foul to, because they feel that it's very daunting to get into that particular space. Is the fact that you've got to work it every single day now, where before you used to just work it and let it run.
That's true.
But having a meeting last week with a top media buyer, he still tells me that 65 to 70% of the budget is still spent on traditional marketing, and only 35%, if that, is used on digital spaces. So the traditional spend is still around. It is ever evaporating, but it is still there and it's still relevant going forward. The thing is that in the old days, we used to run a campaign where we would say, listen, if you want to come on a trip to Hamilton Island, and phone this number. People used to not have a mobile phone, get to the office, park the car, get up to the office, say hello to everyone, put their stuff down, and still remember the number, and the phones would ring off the hook. Now we give them the access right there and then, and people still think, let me just shop around a little bit further. So as much as it's now and more in your face, it's harder to get that engagement and that involvement. And that's where the creativity comes in. And it's all to do with value. What value can I offer you? Because you know what, if I don't give you enough value, someone else could definitely give me more value. Or if I'm buying someone else, I could be with you today and I could leave you because someone else is going to give me something else that is going to enhance my life, and therefore I can change. And that's where life has got a little bit harder. That's where it's got a little bit fickle. So it comes back to, what is your corner strategy? What is your value proposition? And what is your communication channel going to be with you to adapt to a market? And that's where the hard work really sits.
Absolutely. And I love that. And I think, as you say, it's become much more flexible and agile, but by the same token, on the flip side, it takes longer to build trust and give value. So one of my favorite video content gurus, his name is Marcus Sheridan. And I was just watching a little video from him the other day. And he said, he was doing a presentation. And he said, I don't care what business you're in. Everybody says, I do this and I do that. And this strategy is not going to work for my business. And that strategy is not going to work for my business. I don't care about that. He says, we're all in the same business. We're in the business of building trust. And so that's exactly what you're saying. It's all about value, giving content that people can build a relationship with. They can build credibility. You can build credibility. You can build trust. And then they will choose to buy when they're ready. So it's a very different mindset. But as you say, the actual marketing execution can be extremely agile.
Correct. And another thing that we must also realize is that we really only penetrated 5% of the digital platform. It's still, the rest is still going to be evolving. So for example, with the crisis that we're going through right now, it's going to force change. Definitely. It's going to make us think differently. It's going to make us buy differently because of what is going down right now, is making us think of alternative things. And that's where the other 95% of the digital platform is going to be built to the stresses that we all go through, in the sense of how we're going to come out the other side.
Yeah. So what you say, we're only using 5% of our digital capability for marketing.
No, there's 100% of capability in the market, but where the digital platform, in the sense of its potential, is only at 5%.
5%.
There's still so much more to be evolved that's going to come out. So even though it looks cluttered and it looks busy, there's very few people that are doing it very, very well. And that's the secret. The fact that it's crowded and it's noisy is neither here nor there. You look at how people are flicking by things that are not relevant to them. Hence where those are the kind of brands and businesses that need to create change.
Yep. Exactly. And as I know, you and I are both very passionate about Gary Vee. We follow Gary Vee. And one of Gary Vee's catchphrases are, the variable for success is also the quality of your content.
Well, look, I've had the good fortune of meeting with Gary Vee.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
Sitting down and having a chat with him. And, the thing that we spoke about was an old guy embracing digital. And he said one of the things, he said, old business guys have learned the business acumen. The youngsters have learned the tech.
True.
The thing is that the old guys have to just spend a little bit of time learning the tech, and you still can use all that business acumen. The younger guys have to still learn all the business acumen.
Definitely, which is very different and takes much longer to acquire. That comes with experience, and that comes with all sorts of other opportunities that you had to go through, and life's learning.
When we talk about the title of a head fire starter, which is an entrepreneur, I don't believe that entrepreneurship can be taught. I think it's something you do from the gut. Yep. It's something you twist and turn and you feel. Yep. Once again, we talk about the epidemic that's taking place right now. A lot of businesses and businessmen are making changes from the gut. They're not making that. There's no rule book for us right now.
Yep.
It's what's making sense, what's making logical, what is sincere, what is ownership, what's transparency. Those are the kind of things that are going to come forward. And as much as they're exhausting, as much as they are scary, a lot of people are going to learn different traits from this. And I think that we will come out a lot more humble. I think we're going to come out a lot more sincere. But at the end of the day, we're going to be looking for value.
Definitely. And I think it's also going to force us to look within and really understand ourselves, our strengths, our capabilities. It's going to draw out our courage and our confidence to execute on all this stuff. Because as you say, there's no rule book now. So everybody just has to go with their gut And for me, it's almost like playing, you're just testing, you're constantly testing and reading the market.
Correct.
Is it working?
Yeah.
No, let's pivot here. Is that working? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not bad. Let's put a bit more energy into that. Let's tweak this, let's tweak that. So it's a constant,
Correct.
there's no roadmap here. So we're all just testing and trying and seeing what works, and we learn as we
Yeah.
go. You know,
Correct.
So it's got to draw in a lot of different skills.
Yeah, and I think a big mistake that a lot of people may think is that we, especially with this recession that we're about to go into, that it's going to be a V curve, that we're going to go straight down, we're going to get through the epidemic, and we're going to come straight up, and it's not going to be the case. No. We're going to have to work very hard at how we manage those levels of trust, levels of communication, with the levels of delivery, because at the end of the day, people are not going to have cash at the other side. So now it's a case of, how do I make sure that I come with you on the journey and that I stay in touch with you, rather than I try and sell from the very beginning?
Absolutely. And I'm really passionate about applying that right now in particular. A lot of people might have the tendency to think, nobody's buying, nobody's interested, nobody's got any budget. Let's just not even worry too much. Let's just wait it out and not do anything. But I'm of the philosophy that right now is when you have to market more than ever before. Because of that reason.
Yeah, market more. Yeah. And you've got to work on what your added value is, because if you're just selling for the sake of selling, no one's going to buy.
No.
Now you've got to enhance the added value.
Definitely.
Right now, all I tell the businesses that I'm involved with is that, the number one marketing strategy is we want to sell, and we want to negotiate our terms right front and get paid. Once we've got the money in, then we can go back and think about all the other nice things that we want to do. But no Facebook ad is just going to make your phone ring off the hook right now. Right now, we're looking for customers.
Yep.
We're looking for relationships. We're looking for opportunity. And there is a small percentage that are thinking that they're going to reinvent themselves and come up with new products. And this is not the time to do any new product. You've got to stick to the basics, but at the same time, add the value and get the sale done quickly.
Definitely. This time is about building your credibility, building your brand, building that relationship of trust with your customer. And then when they're ready, you'll be the first one they come to. That's what it's about. So that's why really marketing and doing all that is so important right now. And as you say, I try it every now and again, and I put a little Facebook ad and another little Facebook ad. And, I get a lot of hits, but I don't get a lot of conversions. And I think you're right. I mean, it's really about, you have to have a strategy, a whole campaign strategy to do all these little things to still allow you to build trust, because all these strategies only work over time when you've given people information. And as you say, you have to edutain people. I love it. Educate and entertain at the same time.
Correct. That's right. And show value and show
where
the value.
Definitely. Give them value. People are not going to just buy. Gone are the days where people will just buy from a little catchphrase on an ad. That was old school. That doesn't work.
Well, that's the David Ogilvy style. David Ogilvy used to catch you on a phrase.
Yeah.
Now it's about that enhancement. What you need to do is you need to draw them in. You need to have a relationship. You need to understand. And I think the first part of a strategy is make sure that you're talking to the right people up front. It doesn't help that you got 10 people that clicked on your ad, and they're not the 10 people that are ever going to buy anything from you. And I think that's the misnomer with digital, is that a lot of the time, people who don't have the means are clicking on you because they're trying to find that next thing. You've got to go past that. You've got to really know that where to find your niche, or find that you've got to create your value proposition, your communication, that the right people click on your ad. And that in itself is an art.
Yeah, absolutely. And all this stuff is really an art form. Digital marketing is art, because it's creative. You have to, as you say, you have to feel it. Is it working? Is it not working? It's not always quantitative. You have to feel it, see what's happening. You respond to the market. You respond to what's happening. Oh yeah, maybe there's something in that. Maybe there's not. So it's an art form.
But Darren, another thing that's changed a lot is that we've become the product. So before, we used to hire an actor and give him a script and then get a film crew and film it. Now we're the actors. We're the ones switching on the camera. We're the ones now talking. And that was never the case before. So we're the ones that are now having to present the value proposition, be it right or wrong, because at the moment, the market is not worried about polish. The market is worried about value. So therefore, tell me the value, tell me quickly, because you're not going to get me quickly. I'm going to go on to someone else.
Yep.
Okay.
And people want
authentic.
The directors
and the actors. Yes. And we're all the directors and the actors of our own show and product.
Definitely. They want to see, there's a great phrase I read once, or I might have heard it on a podcast. It says, connections are formed within the cracks. And I love that. It just means where you're authentic and you show yourself and you reveal yourself, and it's not Hollywood and it's not polished and it's not perfect. That's what allows people to really connect with you. And that's how you build trust. So I love that. I just think it's fascinating.
And to extend on that, those cracks, if you can dig deeper into those cracks sometimes, that's where the new opportunity lies.
Yep.
That's when people said, I didn't even know this market existed, but I just fell in that groove and I started to play there. And the next thing, when I got a little bit deeper, I realized that it was something so different to what I ever anticipated. How many times have we heard of businesses that started doing one thing and now they've ended up doing something else because they just fell or they tripped up in a crack that they then said, hey, this is unknown territory. And therefore, don't overlook those things. Sometimes investigate all opportunity. It takes time, but at the same time, you've got to have the interest and the passion with the view to adapt your value proposition, your brand into new spaces. And that's what's going to happen with our stressful times right now.
Definitely. And we're all already innovating. We're all trying to find new ways, new offerings, new ways of delivering content, new ways of acquiring, of bringing on more revenue. And we're all starting to think outside the box. So it's going to create all sorts of different services and offerings that were never even thought of before. So I think it's fascinating in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why, you've got to embrace these times as much as we don't enjoy it. We want our old lifestyle back. And some part of it will come back and some won't. And we just have to figure out which is which.
Yep.
But I think what's important is the fact that we must be able to roll with these punches. I think that's important.
Definitely. I mean, I was listening to a podcast this morning, and one of the gentlemen, the guests on the podcast, was a Greek guy that had built a platform that he used to deliver all these other services. But in the end, the market wanted was the platform. So they had to totally go about face and end up packaging and re-delivering that platform as a service, or what do they call it? A software as a service. And that has become the new brand. So he said, you have to pivot, you have to be flexible, and you have to understand what the market's wanting.
Well, you've got to, there's also an analogy, give the people what they want, don't give the people what you think they want.
Yeah, I love that. Very true.
Okay. So find out what they want and give it to them that way, but don't say to them, you'll take it this way, because they will tell you if they want it that way or not.
Yeah, true. And so what have your businesses been specializing in of late within that digital marketing space? Any particular strength, any particular area, or you do a bit of everything?
Look, all the agencies do totally different things. So like I say, they're not related to each other, and they'd all perform in different roles and in their particular area of expertise. And that partly is what's exciting for me, is that I'm always doing different things. Yep. But at the end of the day, I think the cornerstone of my success in the last 36 months has been the fact of deciding strategies that are there to go long term. So when I sit with a client, we try and work on a 12 to 3 year strategy, even though we implemented it month by month. Wow. A strategy is there with the view to create adaptations, because we're listening to the market, we're looking at the analytics, and we're looking at the investment that's going down as to the return of sale. But at the end of the day, we don't lose sight of the destination that we're trying to achieve. Yep. And therefore, in some cases, we have to step up. In some cases, we have to step down according to the time of the year, the terrain, what is happening economically, what is happening emotionally or social, in a social sense, like is what's happening right now. So at the moment, all the markets have gone right down. But you'll find that in now digital terms, everyone is now on there sort of talking, expressing themselves. But I find that they're just vomiting. They're not really giving value. They're just overpouring. And now every man and his dog is looking for a thing, is trawling through the stuff. And once again, I think that as much as we've been taught content is king, I don't disagree with that, but I think it's about determining value. Yeah. And if you can enhance value for your customer, giving it to them the way they want it, I think you're going to have something. But as soon as you just just rolling with the punches and doing all kinds of things, I don't think that you're really making much of a mishmash. So strategy for me in the last 3 years has been the biggest success, because we build in things like what is happening right now with the view to handle these obstacles, and with the view to be able to converse and overcome.
Yeah. Wow. So it's really, and that makes perfect sense. It's not about just content for content's sake. It's about having a strategy behind your content and understanding the value that you can provide to your end customer. But as you say, you have to know who your end customer is in the first place.
Well, you do and you don't. Sometimes it's a case of you've got to know who you want to appeal to and who you're targeting, especially from a price point, in the sense of where they're at, in the sense of can they afford you, how many times do you want to get them to buy you, all that type of stuff. But at the same time, you're also looking with the view of trying to find new customers.
Sure.
A biggest mistake that I found that a lot of my customers make is that they turn around and they say they're on Facebook. And I say, well, that's great, you're on Facebook, but that's not social media marketing. Facebook's not about talking to people you know. Social media marketing is about talking to people you don't know.
Yes.
And that is what's very important. So a lot of people think, just because I've got now 2,000 people in my Facebook group, I'm now doing social media marketing. That, unfortunately, is not social media marketing. You want to reach 20,000 people outside that circle. You may only get 200 to join, but you've got to be able to enhance the value once they have arrived.
Wow. And that's where digital advertising and using groups and leveraging and doing all that kind of stuff comes in.
Yeah. And CRMs are the most important thing right now, because you're going to be capturing that data. You're going to be capturing that information, because if you think they're going to stay there, or you think that next time you talk, they're going to just be there, they're not. So you're going to have to find a method as to how do you keep on talking to them, because you must realize that someone has got to hear you 20 times before they remember you. They're going to engage with you 7 times before they buy from you. So that's 27 times you've got to do something, and then they might only buy something for $35, type of stuff.
Just to test out the water.
Correct.
Yeah. Wow. And so
that's what's become so hot, is that business owners have to do so many things now, where before we didn't have to. But anyway, sorry, your question.
Yeah, no, that's true. And really marketing these days or any business these days has to bring in marketing, and marketing is almost a full-time job. Like for me, I do a number of things, but I call myself really a marketer before anything else, because the marketing is what drives all the results. I have to be good at what I do. I have to execute in whatever speciality that I am providing, but it's 90% marketing, because if I don't market, I don't even get the opportunity to execute on anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So marketing is everything now. But what I was going to ask is, there's a lot of talk now about SMS for marketing. What's your view on that?
I'm not a fan of SMS, and I'll tell you why, because I think that we're just getting so bombarded by so many people. I think it's a case of, if I've reached out to you and you've then responded by SMS, I think it works very well. But to reach me cold, I just think that you're invading my space. You're taking up my valuable time that I didn't intend, and you're just going on a fishing expedition. Work out what I want and give me what I want, and therefore we might have a relationship. But if you're just going to take a punt at me and just utilize me because you've got my number, I think that you're overstepping the line now. And I think this is where these laws are starting to come into place, that if you're talking about unsolicited email and unsolicited spamming, you're just going on a fishing expedition. And unfortunately, those days of leaflet dropping in your phone is now going to be done and dusted. So I'm not a fan of SMSing.
Gotcha. So it's really, what I'm hearing is we have to take a step back, put ourselves in check, and really think about a value added strategy that is going to connect with the right customers, give them value, allow you to build trust. And then when they're ready, after 27 connections, they might buy from you.
Well, 27 touch points, but the secret starts getting the right people to come on board. Make sure you get rid of the tire kickers fast, because they're using up your money unnecessarily. And at the same time, so you'll find that a lot of people right now, they might have a Facebook ad, you've clicked on there, they give you a call, they have a quick chat with you. They work out quickly if they're going to have something with you or not, if you fit the bill or not. And if not, they let you go. And if you are, they're going to then send you an email. Then they're going to follow up with another call. Then they want to get you onto Zoom. And once they can, they'll hopefully get you to a point where they can sign. And of course, if you're starting with, say, 20,000 opportunities and you've got 2,000 replies, you may only end up with, say, 5 responses at the end of the day that sign up. Therefore, that price that they've paid for, has it paid enough for the campaign? And that's where a lot of business owners are feeling a lot of pain because they want instant gratification.
Yep.
You know, there's a word that we all know very well called the yellow pages. Back in the day, the yellow pages used to paste an advert, and for a whole year, your phone would ring off the hook. There's no such thing like that anymore, where you pay once and you have your phone ring off the hook, or very seldom. Maybe the doctor might be the exception to the rule, the dentist might be the second. But other than that, it's very hard to find that investment that you pay once. Now you've got to pay and play accordingly. So therefore, you've got to participate and come on a journey. And that's the hard work that most business owners don't have the mindset for, because they want to focus on what they're good at. They don't want to focus on something else that they're not good at. And therefore, that's why digital marketing gets tossed to the side.
Yeah. And that actually brings me to a very interesting question. What's your view on whether companies should have their own internal digital marketing team, or should they outsource this to agencies like yourself?
I've got experience in both, and I favor both. And I'll tell you where it comes down to. If you've got it in-house, it's a case of, has the person got the understanding with the view to keep on evolving the communication and the delivery? Then I say go in-house. Okay. But if the person lacks the vision to adapt to the market, then I say outsource. Yep. Because just to get someone that's a very affordable salary, they know they've got a bit of digital know-how, but they lack that business acumen that I spoke about before. And they lack the visionary of making the communication eventful. Then you're just doing things with the view of losing customers. You're not doing things with the view of gaining customers.
True.
A professional agency offers a great value proposition. They don't want to spend 1,000 hours on your account. They want to spend the least amount of time getting you the best results. But at the same time, they don't want to be bored. They want to make sure that they can be creative with your product, because if they can be creative, they can create enhancement or noise in the marketplace, and therefore engagement can take place. The bottom line comes down to value. The client has to offer the value. The agency can't insist on the value. If the company can't afford the value, or doesn't think of the value, or doesn't support the value, it's very hard. So sometimes you'll find agencies will come up with these great ideas, but it's just, from a business practice, is unaffordable, or it's just not great in realm of what they do and what they offer.
Yep. Too true. And it's so easy to get caught up in the trap of doing your social media mechanically, or your digital media mechanically, looking at your likes and saying, yeah, it's working. But as you say, you're not actually pushing the boundaries. You're not innovating. Yeah. You're not trying new things. You're not staying on top of what else you can do. And then it's very easy. You'll fall behind very quickly.
That's it. Good very point. Much so.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Point. Excellent. So Grant, for people out there, if they want to get in touch with you or some of your businesses and get some insight into what you do, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, the best way is just to email me at grantthomdesign@gmail.com.
Yep.
Or call me on 0424650792. I'll give it to you again, 0424650792.
Fantastic.
Are the two best methods. You can hook me up on LinkedIn, which you just look up Grant Thom.
Yep.
And basically, those are the two best methods to get in hold of me, engage. I'm quite happy to have a conversation with anybody.
Great.
It's once we understand what is required, then of course we'll dig down and start talking business. But for now, I just talk to anyone who wants to have a conversation about understanding of where the value sits, as to how do they make this digital space not such a dark cloud, and make sure that it is something that becomes an asset in their business, and something where they can create a platform that you can keep on adapting and changing without going old, rather than trying to do one-hit wonders and hopefully your phone's going to ring off the hook like a yellow pages.
Perfect. Well, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I think that was very, very interesting. And I'm going to throw one more question at you because I know you can handle it. Obviously, one of the things you've given us today is value, 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 value. Think about value in everything you do. If you can give the audience one more tip, just in general, in terms that'll help them with their digital marketing. Anything that you can come up with?
Outside of value?
Yep.
Consistency.
Yep. Beautiful.
Be a consistent player. Don't do things for 2 weeks and then stop for 2 months. It's not going to work.
Perfect.
But don't start and then know that you can't follow through. If you start, make sure that you can stick the duration of the consistency of the plan. Whatever you do, come up with an idea that you can evolve, but not lose the core message, but you can keep on that edutainment process going forward. But consistency is the vital in the digital space.
Beautiful. Well, for everybody out there, we've learned some great stuff. One thing, remember, edutainment, which is a combination of education and entertainment.
Yeah, correct.
Value and consistency. So there you go, guys. There's 3 really, really huge insights from Grant today. And hopefully that's going to help everybody out there when they turn to their digital marketing, and particular in these times. It's more important than ever before, as I said. So Grant, really appreciate you coming on the show. And mate, I'd love to do another one. We'll organize a number 2, and we'll come up with some stuff to talk about. But if the audience wants any more information on anything particular, please let us know, because we'd love to build a show around that as well.
Darren, you're more than welcome. And as to the listeners out there, just shoot your questions. And yeah, we will be quite happy to put another show around that and be able to unbundle those questions and the challenges that people face.
Beautiful. So thanks again, Grant. Really appreciate it, mate. And all the listeners and viewers out there, thank you so much. And that's me signing off, but I'll be back very, very soon.